Hi there, my name is Rob Stevenson, and I was recently asked about the benefits of training with biomechanics in mind and taking an approach that helps to take the stress off the joints in a positive way. So one of the reasons that biomechanics is often overlooked in the fitness industry is, first of all, it takes time. There is a huge humbling process that's involved when you start to look at where your body is actually located in space. Okay, so you might have a severe depression of your chest. You might have an anterior shift of your low back. Your shoulders might be in a certain position. Your rib cage might be shifted in one direction or the other. The reason that biomechanics isn't usually emphasized in a training atmosphere is that it's a slow process. A lot of times when people go in to work with trainers and they want to get fitter, right? They want to exercise away their problems. They want to lose weight, build muscle, burn fat, get ready for this race, which I understand. I've been guilty of this myself. I've actually been the trainer that just works on pushing people. When people come and start working with a personal trainer, it's almost like a lot of times if you don't start to give the trainer or give the client weights and difficult things to do where they feel like they're grunting their way through a workout, sometimes the trainer gets nervous that the client is going to think that, oh my gosh, I'm not doing my job. I have to make them work harder. Okay, and what we end up doing is we end up skipping through a whole lot of not only assessments, but fundamentals. Okay, so we stop talking to people about breathing mechanics. We stop talking to people about plantar flexion, dorsiflexion of their ankles. Sometimes you even see, I don't see this so often in Boston because I feel like we have a pretty competent base of trainers that I've met with. But you'll see people letting their clients hinge from the hip. All right, so they're hinging with a rounded spine, so a spine in total flexion. You see this a lot in boot camp classes, really large, out of control classes where people, they pay a $15 to $30 drop-in, they show up, they feel like they get a workout of a lifetime, and then they leave, okay? The issue with this is, again, it's ignoring the fundamentals, okay? And when you start working with your biomechanics and where your body actually is, it's a slower process, okay? It involves a lot of humility because you're working with somebody and you're essentially doing something maybe not even load-bearing, but incredibly difficult, okay? And it's just, it could be as simple as holding a unilateral stance or a kickstand deadlift type of thing, and with your trainer teaching you how to institute or employ intra-abdominal pressure in the abdomen, or talking about rib cage elevation and expansion, thoracic flexion and extension. My point isn't here to confuse you, but why are biomechanics not? I mean, if biomechanics are the save all method of taking stress off of the joints and avoiding knee replacements, hip replacements, tendonitis, arthritis, and all these different things, why is everybody not using biomechanics? I think one of the big reasons is it's a slow process, okay? It involves a lot of self-care and work on your own. And again, it's not going to at first give you this familiar sensation of heart beating out of your chest. Though it can, it's not going to mimic going to a boot camp class or running a race, okay? The reason biomechanics are so fundamental, again, is that it's getting the muscle chains to work together. So if you think of, we think about our forearm flexors, or here, bicep's a better one. Okay, a lot of people think that they're doing bicep curls, lat rows, whatever exercise, pull-ups. Okay, you're getting your biceps, all right? But if we think about the kinetic chain, okay, across this myofascial meridian, which is one of Tom Myers' anatomy trains, essentially what we start talking about is this flexor, this bicep, this pec, okay, this serratus anterior, this external oblique, across the rectus abdominis to this internal oblique, to this TFL, down this IT band. We start to see that we're not training in isolation with biomechanics, but we're taking into account the entire the entire body and the entire kinetic chain, but really it's how do I integrate communication across these chains? Okay, how do I get my left wrist and my right ankle to communicate with one another? Because this is a continuous path across the body. Okay, this is called they call it the anterior oblique subsystem or anterior oblique sling. The reason I say this is like, this might be something that you could work out 5 or 6 days a week, and you could be this phenomenal racer, and you do all these wonderful things and physical activities, and you feel super fit and everything. But what happens if this sling is never potentiated? Okay, potentiated means to wake up, facilitated. Okay, what happens if it's just not really in the picture? This pec doesn't know how to talk to your opposite adductor. Okay, I would say that you might have a really developed pec in an isolated manner, but when you go out to do a sprint or to throw a ball or to go jump over something, you're contralaterally speaking, which is across opposites of the body, your right side and your left lower side don't know how to communicate. Okay, so that's one of the reasons that biomechanics isn't being sold. Like you're not seeing people doing virtual biomechanics training. You're not seeing it like in an app yet, because every person is so different, right? Your psychology is different, your emotional state, your physical state, the trauma and history of your body is different than the next person's. So an app cannot take into account, it cannot factor in how each person is going to move differently and where they're going to be in space. All right. So this is one of the obvious reasons to me why biomechanics is not being spread, wide stream to the masses. Okay. Now the other reason that you don't see it a lot is not everybody is seeking out to learn biomechanics. It gets complicated. When you start studying joints and muscles and where they go, and you study the 3 planes of motion, which is the sagittal, the frontal, and the transverse plane, you start to learn that joints are pretty complicated. Okay, and I'm a trainer, or I'm a physical therapist, or I'm a manual therapist. I just want to give this person results, and if I start slowing them down and having them do these little motions, I don't know how they're going to respond to it. So we have this fear. We're almost kind of nervous how we're going to be perceived if we slow them down. What am I paying you for? I'm not paying you to teach me how to breathe. I'm not paying you to teach me how to do this with my scapula. Like, I'm paying you to work me out. Okay, I'm paying you to fix me. And a lot of the times, that's exactly what biomechanics is trying to do. It's trying to condition your tissue, and it's trying to condition your joints in a way that you never have before. Okay, your bones tell a story about you, about each of us. Our joints, to a degree, define us. Though I would say don't let anything define you, but really, like if you have a thing going on with your back or your hip or your knee or your neck, there's a lot more to the story than just, it came out of nowhere. I was picking up my grandkid, or I was picking up my son or daughter, and my neck went out. It's like, your neck didn't just go out because you were picking up your kid. This has been a long time coming, and your kid was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay? So the idea is like, the way you're working out or not working out, that's not always the problem. It's just the way you're using your body on a regular basis, okay? And biomechanics, what it's going to help address is, if you do this with your body all day long, you sit this way, you stand this way, then you go and you work out this way, okay? Biomechanics is going to be like, okay, this is where the person lives. They're glued, they're stuck in this position, okay? I'm going to take them over here and see what happens. I'm going to take their joints away from what they know is familiar and comfortable. Because at the end of the session with the trainer, your body's going to go back to how it was. Okay, but when I'm going to be training and trying to implement a little bit of change and create new space in the body and decompress some joints and look at some joints that are too open and close them off, I'm going to try and create useful tension in this person so that they feel more upright, springy with each step, and connected in themselves. Now, this is one of the this is one of the reasons that biomechanics training helps to take the stress off of the joints, is it creates useful tension. So it looks at somebody, it figures out what joints are overused, what muscles are being overused, and then it looks at the joints which are being underused, okay, or misused, right? You can be misusing a joint all day long when you're sitting at your computer making phone calls and typing up reports for work. So it's going to help, it's going to start to try and balance the muscles out, balance the use of joints out, so that we're no longer abusing and overworking this joint, and we're actually taking the misused and underused joint and we're starting to use it properly, pump some blood into it, get some oxygen and awareness to it, all right, so that these ones over here, they can relax, because they work 23 hours a day. You don't even feel it or know it, but you're in your sleep and your upper trap and your jaw is clenching and biting, okay? So the idea of biomechanics training is to help get you closer to neutral, all right? And this is where balance comes into play, and this is also where relativity comes into play, because there is no one-size-fit-all pattern, okay? You have to have an understanding of anatomy and physiology, and basically an awareness of like, okay, this person stands like this, these muscles are working too much, I need to help relax them and strengthen and wake up these other muscles on the opposite side of the body. And then you need to be able to go to the next client and say, okay, this person is different than that person. Okay? This person works too much up here by their neck. They need to be relaxed a little bit and lengthened. That's another thing for another conversation, is like, we're not lengthening tissues enough in training. We're constantly shortening tissues. Okay, but anyway, so this person over here, they need to maybe lengthen, lengthen and shut down their upper traps a bit. They need to create a little bit more movement in their serratus, rib cage muscles. Anyways, these are different approaches, right? Because person A, B, and C are all different individuals. So this is another reason biomechanics training isn't being employed by every trainer in the area or every fitness outlet or boutique fitness gym that you see, is because it takes time. And in in modern day, people don't always like to put this type of time in. They just want to work out. They just want to sweat so they can go eat their dinner, eat their food and enjoy their life. And some people don't even like working out. Okay, so when you tell them, hey, this is going to be like a therapeutic process and you're going to start to understand where you're at, I think it's important to keep in mind that you always got to be thinking about longevity, of health, of life, sustainability of the body, because what you do with your joints every day, even in this moment, determines the shelf life of your body over the rest of your life. So again, biomechanics can help to take stress off of the joints that are working too much by looking at where you are and saying, hey, I'm going to move you and train you where your body isn't. Okay? Don't avoid the parts of your body that are difficult to explore or go to. Okay? It's valuable to research those areas, put yourself into them, and basically leave the comfort of your posture and the way that you hold yourself all day, and try to expand on that space. Try to create new space in your body. Create possibilities where there were no possibilities, type of thing. And this is going to help you long term. It's going to help your joints, okay? And it's really going to take care of your muscles. And again, muscles and joints are kind of the thing we're going for, because if the muscle system is working, it can actually create something called an anti-gravity effect. So there's a subsystem of muscles in the body called the deep front line, and it's interconnected and woven with these other fascial kinetic chains in the body. But essentially, by using corrective exercises and biomechanics training, you can start to facilitate and wake up this anti-gravity system in your body, so that now you have more spring in your step. Okay, so every time you go walk somewhere, you actually feel like you're not pounding on your body, but instead you're just creating more and more bounce. Okay, in your joints. And this is a big goal of training with the biomechanics, is making sure that joints are healthy and move well, that the muscles are doing their jobs and not another muscle's jobs, okay? And helping people to feel taller when they're done training, okay? And hopefully giving those individuals longer lasting results, okay? So that if you train with someone on Tuesday, they start to still feel it until Thursday, all right? And this is how you scratch the surface and start to crack the mold on someone's traditional training program where they're just like, hey, I want to work out. You have to shift your mentality if you are going to be one of these people that avoids osteoarthritis, knee replacements earlier in life, okay? Because I can tell you, I work with 35 and 40-year-olds who have bodies like my 65, 70-year-old clients. You wouldn't think that to be the case in today's day because of all the awareness of health, but we are not using our bodies in ways that are conducive to having healthier, happier joints, okay? We just aren't. We're, we turn on the Netflix and we look at the Facebook and the social media all the time just to zone out and get away from our bodies, okay? So biomechanics training for me has been very enlightening. It's been an opportunity to explore myself and understand myself in ways that I never thought possible. And fortunately for me, I had a mentor. I had somebody who really introduced the concept to me, and then I sought others out. And since then, I've met a lot of individuals around the world who are similar to me in the sense that they are spreading the message of, like, you got to use biomechanics. You can't work out your problems away. And if you're not working out, it's not doing any good either. Okay, joint health has got to be the priority. Fitness and exercise are kind of made up. Health, and I wish there needs to be this word healthness. Okay, I train for my health. All right, I'm trying to improve or build a stronger, healthier physiology. Okay, I work out and train for my healthness, for my health, my physical health. And I think this is what we have to start telling ourselves and getting away from this grinding and pounding on the joints, because our bodies don't appreciate it long term. And that's what you have to think about. Is like, just like produce on a shelf or food on the shelf, like what you do with your joints every day is going to determine that shelf life. And for people who are like, I'm already old, I'm just going in that direction, I'm going to keep doing what I like to do, that's fine. I'm happy that you still want to do that. I think it's important to understand the ramifications of improper body use, and I think it's also important to have an understanding that it's never too late to change things up. And I've seen people with no arches in their feet create arches. I've seen people with too high arches drop the arches. I've seen people with long-lasting, what's felt like their entire life, hip pain, low back pain, neck pain. I've seen that stuff reduced just by changing their breathing. Okay, bringing awareness to a part of their core or a part of the way that they move that they've never noticed before. Okay, so again, biomechanics training does a lot more than work you out, but it really helps to realign where you're at and help you live a longer, healthier, happier life. And eventually, through biomechanics training and focusing on the fundamentals, you will be able to go back to your hard, heavy breathing workouts. But I think it's important, you got to focus on the foundations first. If you were building a house, you would focus on your groundwork, your bedrock of building first. You wouldn't start to think about the other floors or the rooms or anything. The more solid your base is, the more sustainable your body's going to be for whatever physical demands or physical circumstances come your way in your life. So this is one of the reasons that I think biomechanics is worth your while and everybody's while, and I hope that you start to think about your body a little bit differently. You can check out some videos I have. Always feel free to reach out if you have questions, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.